Will Donald Trump be a force for good? 020-7862-2222 is the number. He was sworn in as the 47th President of the United States yesterday. In his first speech, he promised a new golden age for America.
The golden age of America begins right now. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. That my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again.
He promised to crack down on illegal immigration, and diversity, equality and inclusion programs as well will be stopped. He said his government would only recognize 2 genders. He also talked about national security, reaffirming his plans to rename the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, which caused some smirks from Hillary Clinton. Have a look.
Short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a...
On more serious matters, he declared a national emergency at the southern border and also a national energy emergency.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Shortly after his speech, he then signed a raft of executive orders. There he is at the desk. One of them to pardon all of those involved in the January the 6th riots. He also withdrew the US from the Paris Climate Agreement. That's the second time he's done that. He withdrew from the World Health Organization as well. Yasmin, you have literally had your head in your hands for part of this.
I cried. I cried when he won. I cried yesterday.
Which part don't you like?
Oh, the haircut.
What about the thing about only 2 genders or whatever?
Well, I think trans rights are so unfairly targeted. It's the easy prey, but it's, remember, he is, people forget so easily. Remember, this is a man who last year, a judge confirmed, did rape this woman, E. Jean Carroll. It was confirmed. He's a convicted felon. He's a white supremacist. He's a white supremacist. He's anti-abortion to the extent where terrible things are happening in the states like Texas.
He kind of left that alone in the election campaign. He kind of left that alone in the election campaign.
Yeah, but we know,
because he's
he
worried
did
about
that
that.
almost previous. Anyway, the diversity and inclusion and Me Too
so
and
DEI gone.
Yeah,
completely gone.
So it's actually the white supremacist and the way he's talking about migrants and the way, and shame on all those Hispanics and black people who voted for this man.
Russ?
I mean, honestly, there's a great American songwriter, Don Henley of the Eagles, Yasmin.
I love the Eagles.
Who wrote a line that you might be familiar with in one of his songs. You can't keep carrying that anger. And you are just coming over as somebody who...
Listen, you're not my psychologist. Just give your point of view.
I'm going to give you my point of view.
Give me my point. Don't analyse me.
I've listened to a lot of rubbish. Yeah. Well, the viewers will analyse you. Look, he's going to slash tax, cut regulation, enforce the borders, deport illegals, common sense politics, oil and gas is good again, eradicate wokery. As Piers Morgan tweeted on X yesterday after the speech, he's back. And he is back, and he's doing exactly what he wants to do.
Right things?
There's optimism in America, as opposed to this country, where there's pessimism.
Millions of people are absolutely appalled. Did you watch the demonstrations? People are applying to move to Canada.
Russ, what about, let's just talk about I appreciate that. Eva Longoria has gone, some others have gone. But in the end, he won the election. And it was democracy that's given us this result.
Well, I'm not saying he shouldn't be president.
No, I understand.
But I don't have any responsibility to say, oh, well, now I shall admire him. I will not. I will not. I cannot.
When you said earlier that he was adjudged to have raped somebody,
yes.
Our lawyer's been on the phone.
I've checked
fussing
this.
about this detail.
I checked this morning.
Just to say that there's a very technical definition, and it was sexual assault.
Okay.
Are you happy with that correction?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's entirely
but a president
unimportant.
found guilty of sexual assault. Think about that.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, absolutely. But there's been a case with George Stephanopoulos where he said rape and he had to pay some money or whatever. Okay, look, sorry, back to the discussion. The key thing is this issue of the border. And what he won on is saying, and Kamala was asked, are you going to finish building the wall? She had no answer. So, Russ, is he right to say we've got a state of emergency down on the border?
Well, he's right to say it because he believes it, and millions of Americans do as well. He's in power. When will these people not realise that democracy works, that somebody wins? And he won on this occasion fair and square. He won with the popular vote as well. And as Yasmin said, even though she can't quite understand why they voted for him, Hispanic Americans and young black Americans in their droves voted for him. And I find it absolutely terrible that it is said of Donald Trump that he is a racist, he's a fascist. Our own Prime Minister described, and I quote him, Donald Trump is a racist and an affront to humanity. David Lammy, he's a KKK sympathiser and a fascist.
Well,
this is the Prime
but they've
Minister,
changed
the
their tune
Foreign
now, haven't they?
Secretary.
He's changed his tune. But
Now says he's a lovely guy with a great sense.
People want to forget.
sense of humour.
People want to forget
Yeah,
when there was
exactly.
this awful moment when a woman was raped in New York in a park, and he immediately blamed black men.
It's the famous case.
Yeah?
This is in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't forget.
No.
I know you
And
don't.
it's is it the New York Six or whatever? It's been a whole
Yeah.
thing on. I know, and that was terrible. Of course, it was terrible. Listen, the thing is this: he made, the sexual assault is serious. That all of that stuff, what E. Jean Carroll, what he did to her is terrible, etc. Grabbing women by the genitals is terrible. But could he not be a bad person who becomes a good president?
No.
Okay.
How are we going to deal with him in this country, Jeremy?
Well,
That's
we're
the
going to have
question.
to not criticise him for a while. David in Cumbria, hi.
Hi, Jeremy.
Who's in the right here? Is it Yasmin or Russ?
I think basically I'm going to do it slightly differently. I think yesterday's speech was the most consequential speech of the last 50 years.
50.
And last 50. I think the last major American president made a speech similar was JFK with his asking what America can do for you, etc. But my thing is, I'm looking at what's going to happen, the diversity between the UK growth, which is going to tootle along at 1% to 2%, and American growth, which is going to be 4%, 5%, 6% over the next 4 years. And at the end of the day, the thing that matters to people is the cost of living.
That's exactly right. And it's funny, we talk about everything except that, David, because we think about it from about Gaza and Ukraine, and rightly we think about, oil and the climate. But for him, 90% of his job is to make life cheaper for the average American.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can he do that?
Yeah, I think he can, and he's lucky. The Green Lobby will disagree. He's lucky that he's got so much oil, which will be able to fund all the tax cuts and everything else, just like Thatcher had in the 80s. And it makes a huge difference if you've got stuff that you can sell around the world, and they will be energy independent.
But there's so many weird things here. Thank you, David. One of them is that he hates electric cars. Who's basically the inventor of the electric car? He's in his cabinet. And they must just never mention it. They must never mention it. Look, we must talk at so many angles. We'd love your calls. There was a funny moment during the inauguration where he goes to kiss his wife, but he struggles because she's wearing what was described as a social distancing hat. Can we see that again? Sorry, I just want to see how close does he actually touch her skin there or not? Can we see it again?
He doesn't.
Is he getting it?
No.
Oh, he's an inch away. Okay. So all kinds of stuff going on. We have a clip of Musk as well that I want to show you in just a second, where obviously Elon Musk is... Musk is my prediction for his first big sacking, because I think Trump wants to be the guy who fired the richest man in the world. And Musk is also a little bit of a liability. Watch this salute.
Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
That kind of went out of fashion in the 1930s, that salute. But it was probably accidental. It was probably accidental, Russ?
For such a clever man, it's a silly move.
It is a bad one. When I saw that on social, I thought, well, it's going to be overplayed, but it actually was a proper...
Did it twice.
Yeah.
I know.
So you know what they are.
Well, no, but that's not him doing he's not saying with that, I'm a Nazi, is he? He's doing a salute that he hasn't thought through because he hasn't got that.
How do you know that?
Well, I'm trying to read it.
No.
I'm trying to just. So you think he's doing that? You think with that salute,
so
he's saying,
arrogant.
I'm a Nazi. Okay.
He's so arrogant and his views are so appalling that I think he knew what he was doing.
I wonder whether the criticism that could be made is he doesn't have that ring around that period of history that tells him do not ever do anything that ever goes in that direction ever. Yeah. He doesn't have that particular guardrail.
I was saying to Yasmin in the break, what was noticeable, I don't know if any of the viewers noticed it yesterday, at the inauguration, before the actual inauguration got underway and they were all standing around, he was staring into space. Very few people wanted to engage with Elon Musk, which I just thought was a bit odd, really, for somebody who apparently is so influential.
Well, he's the head of government efficiency. That's going to be. He wants to apparently get rid of 70% of the government. Ian in Blackpool. Good afternoon. Good morning, I should say.
Good morning, everybody.
How are you doing, Ian? What do you want to say?
I just think he is a total threat to America and the free world. I mean, I was watching it, and like Yasmin, I was almost in tears, but I was shaking with fear. The pardoning of the 1,600 rioters, the removal from the Paris Accord and the World Health Organization, making it law that there can only be two genders. And then I was watching at 5:32 our hours, and he said that we're going to take back the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
Then he said at 5:33, we're going to expand U.S. territory. So does that mean Canada? Does that mean Greenland?
Greenland, I think Greenland, yeah.
And then the overriding, all the time that I was watching it, there was one thing that kept coming into my mind. And do you remember the film Cabaret?
Do you know what? I'm ashamed to say I haven't seen it, and I'm trying to see it at the moment. I can't find it. But I know I saw it on stage recently, so I know you're going into a Nazi thing here as well, are you?
Yeah, because there was one thing, and the song was "Tomorrow Belongs to Me," and all I could think of was Trump. That were his supporters.
But do you know what? One of the things that helped him most of all in the campaign was when his opponents compared him to Hitler, because he was able to say, "Come on, guys, that's ridiculous," and it makes his critics look ridiculous, Ian.
I don't think well, I'm not comparing him to Hitler. But what I always have done is compared him to Mussolini rather than Hitler.
There's not a big difference, I suppose. But yeah, okay, thank you.
There is a big difference.
Well, all right. Claire is Texan. Hello, Claire from Inverness. Hello.
Hey, morning, Claire.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay, we'll all slip into a Texan accent now. We mustn't do that. Go on, Russ. Howdy.
I love you, baby.
Can we say howdy? What do you want to say, Claire? What do you want to say?
I take it y'all don't like my new elect president.
I do.
Are you? Because you're from Texas. Immediately, I'm thinking you want Trump in power. Is that unfair of me?
That border is a mess.
Right.
You cannot, unless somebody has lived there, they just have no idea the horror down there. That's an absolute horror with the drug cartel and the fentanyl and
I understand.
300.
There's 1,000 miles of border. He promised to build a wall in the last election. He built 452 miles of wall, but 400 miles of that was already there. So he only really did 49 miles. So do you believe he will build a wall this time?
The last 4 years, that wall, the materials have been sitting there, and people that are illegal have been walking over to our side of the country, including the drug cartel. They've been enabling them. The drug cartel is making profit off of these poor illegals that come over. They could care less whether they die. And we've got 300,000 children from across the border that are not accounted for now. They cross the border, and nobody knows where they are now.
So you think he's right to concentrate on the border?
Yes, absolutely. No doubt about it.
I think let me put this to Yasmin, because that is, we sort of miss the fact, and this is where Farage gets a lot of power from, is that overwhelming preoccupation with disorderly migration.
I'm sorry, you're not going to get me on this, because actually, we're talking about I'm very glad Claire has distinguished between the criminals, the drug criminals, I'm with her on that, and those people who are desperate to cross the border, whether ours or across Europe or in America. One has to remember, America was stolen. It's a stolen country, right?
Isn't everywhere stolen?
No, America particularly stole it from the indigenous
But Russ
people.
doesn't agree.
They are all migrants. They're all migrants. And yet they hate other migrants? I'm not having that.
Well, maybe we're all migrants.
Funny view of the world.
Yeah, Russ?
Funny view of the world. I mean, the world's been turning for an awful long while, and in comparative recent history, America has become America. And it is what it is. I mean, we have to get over this, you know, the misdemeanors, maybe, of the past across the board. Surely for Americans, with Trump, it's about the future. It's about what he can do for the country. It's the same for Keir Starmer here, and the proof is in the pudding, whether it's going to work or not.
OK. Claire, thank you very much. You're watching with interest. You're not on holiday here, Claire, are you? Or...
Oh, yes, I'm on holiday.
Oh, are you? OK, so you're watching the show on holiday, and then you're going back to Texas to find...
Every day.
Today, we'll have a great journey back.
I love your show.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you can see how closely we follow your doings in the USA. I mean, every scintilla we're across. So it's interesting. Thank you. Call us from the States when you get back.
All right.
Bless
Thank
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. She didn't sound like that was that. Let's have lunch one day.
No.
You were a bit
like,
overexcited, I think.
I was like, but we could have a Texas correspondent. I'd love that. Michael in Dorset, hi.
Jeremy and the team.
Hello.
Morning.
Well done. What would you like to say?
I noted Russ's comment when apparently Keir Starmer said that Trump was a racist. That's rich coming from the anti-Semitic Labour Party, isn't it, really? But anyway, is Trump to be a force for good? I think in some ways he will be. I love his anti-woke policies. I think they're great. Will he be a force for good? Well, time will tell, won't it? We're going to have to wait. He's going to be there for 4 years. But the important thing to remember is, and I think Yasmin needs to take note of this, is the majority of the American people voted for him. He got the popular vote.
But she's allowed to be cross about that. She's allowed to be cross about that, right? They might have got it wrong.
Anytime she likes.
Yeah.
But hating him is not good enough, I'm afraid.
Thank you, Michael.
Jesus said hatred is murder.
We'll take a quick break. We're getting so many calls. We're going to talk more about this. 0207 862 2222 is the number. We're getting so many calls on Donald Trump. We will take a few more. We're asking, will he be a force for good? I think we can fairly say he is quite controversial. Joe in Sheffield, hello.
Oh, hello. Good morning. Yasmin, with regards to the previous caller, the day you start taking note of anything anyone says to you on this programme that's negative will be the day my heart sinks. You're a complete inspiration to me, and enough of the Yasmin Alibhai-Brown fan club speech from me.
Okay.
But you get the most stick on this programme, and you're utterly amazing. This is my point then. I know you're going to cut me off, Jeremy. You know when someone kind of exudes something that's on the inside, like in their heart and soul, all the nastiness and vileness and divisiveness and spite and evil that's on the inside, just on their face.
So interesting.
That is Donald Trump. He's vile, unstable, nasty, and a dangerous human being. And Tommy Robertson and Farage are mini versions, and just like Yasmin, I'm entitled to hate them too.
Okay, I'm not cutting you off, by the way, so please don't preempt that.
I know I've got to be brief.
Yeah, but you did that brilliantly. I just look here. We're looking as you said it. We are seeing a picture of Melania and Donald dancing, and I'm searching his face. I'm searching his face for signs of the pure evil you're describing. I can't see it. Russ?
No.
Can you see the pure evil there?
No, I can see a face that is lived in, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Oh, Yasmin, defend me.
Of course I can. Yes, absolutely see the pure evil, and not to mention
Felon.
the orange. There is...
Stormy Daniels' case.
His eyes say it all.
Well, let's see. What does it say in the Bible? By their works you shall know them.
And
we
their
will
words
see.
too.
Yeah, and we've had 4 years. The thing is, the trouble with the Trump last 4 years, it was completely derailed by COVID. So we don't really know where it would have ended up without COVID. Same with Boris.
And also, he's going to try and get everything done in the first 2 years because he's 78. He's going to be 82.
Yeah, for sure.
Come the end of his term. Will he run again? Who knows? So I think he's in a rush.
He's in a
to
rush.
get everything over the line early.
Well, that's why he was signing orders even
Yeah,
yesterday.
that's right.
I've never seen it before. People signing executive orders at their inauguration. We've never seen this. Mark in Dorset, hello.
Hi, Jeremy, and good morning.
Is he good news for the world?
I think so. It's good news, at least for America. Because for me, if you listened, as I did, to Trump's inauguration speech, it had a vision, a political direction, and a plan. And this was, as you said, was immediately followed by action, i.e. signing of those orders. He's not hanging around, which is great. I wish our politicians in this country would take a leaf out of his book along those lines, to be honest with you.
The trouble with populism is it quite often over-promises. It gives you very simple choices, very attractive, and then the promise that struck me about Trump is he said he's going to stop the war in Ukraine on his first day. Now, if we're generous, we call today the first day. Surely he can't do it in one day.
I may agree with that, but it is the intent behind it. That's the point. It's very clear, he has a vision about it. It might take 3 months rather than 1 day, Jeremy. I agree with you. But if he achieves it, that's the point, really, isn't it? At the end of the day.
And
Mark, thanks so much.
Mark, you're okay with the fact that he's pardoned convicted criminals who tried to overturn the democratic system. You're okay with that?
Well, I'm as okay with that as I am with Biden pre-pardoning all his family before they do anything wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But there are things here that should worry you, even you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Let's move on.